Hey everyone, finished up doing the liquid leveler on the far side of the kitchen. I had some low spots in this closet, and as you can see I had to put some liquid leveler in there, and so I did it in a couple of spots all the way around the edge here. You can't see it now because I've been putting the Durock down. Everything that I've been looking at and things that I've been researching on, most of the tile guys tend to go with the cement board, the heavier stuff. The other stuff's lighter to work with, but it's not that bad. It's 3x5 sheets, so it's easy to carry, one at a time, even two at a time. I've been bringing it into the kitchen here, but seems to work pretty good. I've been laying it out and cutting it piece by piece. I started over here in this section, and so now I've staggered overlap my joints. You're supposed to, they say to do it by about 12 inches. So I'm trying to stick to that as much as possible. The reason why I laid it out this way, I started on this side rather than the other side, was that this span is 21 feet, and I'm laying them perpendicular to the way I laid the subfloor. I think it's just going to make it a little bit stronger and have less chance of having your seams overlap. But as I work this way, since these are 3 feet wide, by the time I get over there, it should be 21 feet exactly. But if I do have a little sliver at the end that may be off, it's going to be probably a couple of inches. I'd rather be on that side of it because most of that area is going to be covered up by cabinets on that side and that side, and it's just going to be that little walkway that'll have that sliver of a piece of Durock. Right now I'm actually working on cutting this piece out, so I test fit it, and I'm getting a little bit big gap right in here. I cut it a little too deep, so what I'm planning on doing is cutting a little sliver of this top piece right here so that I can push it up a little bit higher in here, and it'll be a little bit closer. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that and then go ahead and fit it into place. Okay. So here's the piece that I need to cut down, and I'm actually going to go ahead and mark a little sliver off of it to cut it down. So I got this scoring tool from Home Depot, and you're supposed to just score one side and then crack it and then flip it over and then score the other side, and it breaks off. And for the large sections, like a big section, I've been doing that. It's really a mess though. I don't think it really works that great. I mean, I guess it's fine, I suppose, when you tape it and then mud over it to fix the seams, it's fine. But what happens is it ends up grabbing these pieces of fiberglass in here and just tears it and lifts it up out of the cement, and I don't think it's very good. So what I've been using, I saw that somebody was using a jigsaw, and I think they used a carbide blade, but I've just been using a regular wood blade because they're cheap, and that's what I had. I have another couple packs of it, so I just figured let's see if it'll work, and we'll go ahead and get started here. I'll show you how it cuts. It's been getting a little more dull as I've been going through, so it starts to break it, but it's still a lot cleaner than the scoring tool. Yeah, it's not very good on the end because it's just the end. So if it's in the middle, where it has something more cement over here, it'd be fine. But since it's just the edge, it's fraying it, which it's not a huge deal. It's going to get covered up anyway. You're not going to see it. Actually, cut this out with a jigsaw, and this too. It makes it a whole lot easier. But I want to lay it out first before I glue it down. I want to make sure everything fits nice. Just kind of dry fit everything. So that's the idea, is to go ahead and dry fit it. Oh yeah, that looks much better. So this gap closed up a little bit. I can push it up a little higher, but that's all the way up against the wall, and I don't want that. I want to back it out some. I just need enough gap on the end there so that it can expand and contract. You want to have enough gap in between each seam, between these between no more than a quarter of an inch, but you want at least an eighth of an inch. So what they want is they want you to, when you put the tape down and put mud in here, you want to get some mud down inside there, the mortar down inside there, to kind of fill that gap, to kind of help glue the two pieces together, basically. So that's the plan for that. So that fits nice. So now I can put a solid piece right here. And that'll actually be good for my gaps too. So I gotta measure this one to cut out. So I'll show you what I've been doing to measure it up. Figure out how to make my cuts. You're gonna need yourself, obviously a tape measure, and I've been using my level as kind of a straight edge. And then a good tool to have is a Sharpie for this Durock. You can do it with pencil, but this does a better job in putting the markings down. So basically I'm going to measure, just because things aren't necessarily square on interior walls, they're not necessarily going to be as square as your exterior walls. So when I measure the distance, I'm going to measure from on this edge, and then I'm going to measure over on that edge too, or closest to that wall. So it's the distance to the hardwood floor is actually 41¼ just to give myself a quarter inch on that side, and then I need another eighth of an inch, so I'll cut it at 40 7/8. That way I got 3/8 of an inch. This one's 41 1/2, but I'd rather go with the shorter end. I'm going to cut it at 41 1/4, so I'll cut it at 40 7/8. Okay, the whole thing, and then I'll worry about notching this. So I know that I want to cut it right about here. That way it gives me enough gap. And I just measure up that 6 inches here. So I know I need to cut 6 inches and then up. Voila! Perfect. I mean, pretty close anyway. There's kind of a gap right here, but you can see right here, it's pretty close to the hardwood right here, but there's a pretty big gap right there. So it's not quite square. I don't know if I'm off or if the wall's off. I think the wall's probably off, but because I couldn't possibly be wrong. But either way, you kind of have to play with it and use what you can. Obviously, I don't want it to go, I have to make it short. I could have made it at an angle if I needed to, but it's fine. It'll be fine because it still needs to, still got a tile over top of it, and it'll be all right.